On this day in 1970, Celtic beat Leeds United 1-0 at Elland Road in the first leg of the Battle of Britain. The hype surrounding Celtic's European Cup semi-final ties against Leeds United in April 1970 surpassed anything seen before in British club football, with the winners virtually already crowned as European champions the moment the draw was announced. Jim Parkinson reported in the Glasgow Herald of the 21st of March 1970, "The gasping reaction of the assembly of football officials from almost every country on the continent to the semi-final draw echoed recognition of the stature of the pairing, which both clubs had hoped would be avoided until the final. This hope has gone now, but the neutrals regard the forthcoming encounter as being totally decisive in the tournament, with the final in Milan on May the 6th becoming nothing more than a formality for the winner." Celtic were hoping for a repeat of their 1967 Grand Slam of domestic trophies and European Cup, while Leeds were determined to take what the English press referred to as a triple crown of First Division, FA Cup and European Cup. They were in the midst of what became an epic series of 3 matches against Manchester United in the FA Cup semi-final, and were 3 points behind Everton at the top of the league, but with a game in hand. Celtic were in a comparatively stronger position, with the championship secured the weekend before the first leg, joining the League Cup already in the trophy room, and the Scottish Cup final against Aberdeen to come on the 11th of April. For Leeds, the 2 FA Cup replays against Manchester United and the traditional Easter Monday league match added to an already overcrowded fixture list. They fielded an entire team of reserves against Derby County on Easter Monday, 2 days before the first leg, and then played a league match against West Ham United in London 24 hours after facing Celtic, giving them a total of 7 games in 13 days. Leeds were most English observers' favourites going into the match, but their manager Don Revie was fretting over the physical and mental tiredness of his players, while Jock Stein seemed to smell blood in the water. Malcolm Munro reported in the Evening Times of the 1st of April on a late-night conversation with Stein on the eve of the first leg. "He said to me, 'I have never seen Don Revie look so strained.'" The remark was significant, for Stein went on to say about the big game at Elland Road, "The pressure is on Leeds. They have been up to all kinds of things to confuse us, and at the end of the day, they are the ones who are confused." What is the word always associated with Leeds? Professionalism. Where was the professionalism when, after they defeated Manchester United, they claimed they were the greatest? And just before they meet us, they play a complete reserve team and say most of their players are suffering from mental and physical fatigue. That is departing from professionalism, isn't it? In other words, they're obviously worried, more worried than we are. And do you want to know why? Because we're a mystery to them, and they are predictable to us. The Yorkshire Evening Post's Phil Brown still took Leeds to win, although there was none of the perceived English arrogance about his preview on the 1st of April. United have one problem against the seasoned and hard Celtic defence. They have another against the flaring Celtic attack. Auld can be as cunning as a fox and as elusive. United must, as I see it, stop Celtic from scoring and taking an away goal back across the border. Its value can be high, but I do not think tonight will be a high-scoring game for United. This is Greek v Greek tonight, but I am taking United to be 2 clear goals at least, the more Greek. Famously, Revie tried to unsettle Celtic before the match when French referee Michel Katabjian agreed both sides could wear their home kits, but one would have to change their socks. Jock Stein claimed he and Revie had agreed the home team would change for each leg if necessary, and so Celtic had not brought their away kit with them. In support of Stein's claim, Celtic had worn green socks when they played Leeds in a pre-season friendly at Celtic Park in August, but Revie denied any such agreement and insisted Celtic, as the away side, should change. In the absence of colour film of the match, the colour of socks worn by Celtic will probably never be universally accepted. But what is clear is that Revie offered Celtic a choice, and that choice was of either blue or red, or blue or orange socks. Leeds regularly wore red socks when necessary that season, as they did in the second leg at Hampden. We also know that Leeds had an as yet unworn, all-orange third kit, so they would also have been able to offer orange socks. The question is, which choice would have been more difficult for Steen? Revy's wife was Scottish, so it's probably fair to say that he would have been aware that the choice of blue or orange would be a far more loaded one for Steen than blue or red. While it's possible Celtic wore red socks that night, it seems far more likely they were orange. Davy Hay remembered in his biography, The Quiet Assassin, written with Alex Gordon, "The off-the-field shenanigans went on right up until the kick-off. We were informed they had complained about our white socks to the referee. They were the same colour as Leeds, of course, but no one made any mention of it until just before the start. As our kitmen hadn't packed alternatives, we had to borrow orange socks for our opponents. If that too was designed to faze us in any way, shape or form, it was another error on their part. We could have played in our civvies that night and still won." Over 45,000 packed into Elland Road for the most eagerly awaited club match in British football history as Celtic lined up Williams, Hay, Gemmell, Murdoch, McNeil, Brogan, Johnston, Connolly, Wallace, Auld, Lennox, subs, Fallon, Craig, Callaghan, Hood, Hughes. As Jock Stein had told Malcolm Munro, Don Revie had no idea how Celtic would line up, and having seen George Connolly play as a sweeper beside Billy McNeil since the draw was made, they were caught totally unawares as he strode forward into attack in the first minute of the match with ruinous consequences for the home side. Geoffrey Green reported in the Times of the 2nd of April 1970, "After only 90 seconds, Auld put a long high pass down the Celtic left wing. There, first Madeley and then Charlton behind him fumbled the high bounce. In a trice, Lennox and Wallace had worked the ball in down the left byline. As it came over, the tall Connolly, a fine young player of cool balance and control, struck his shot. The ball hit Charlton and bounced tamely into the far corner of the Leeds net as Sprake, seemingly dumbfounded, hardly made a move to save." Celtic proved the goal was no lucky break as they proceeded to swarm all over Leeds, who didn't know what had hit them. Jim Parkinson wrote in the Glasgow Herald of the 2nd of April 1970, "Celtic's 1967 European Cup final performance was equalled at least in the grim grey surroundings of Elland Road last night. With a brilliant exhibition of cut and thrust football, Celtic astonished Leeds United in their European Cup semi-final first leg match with a first-minute goal for a lead that they held throughout. They now go into the second leg at Hampden on April the 15th with a great chance of reaching their second final at Milan next month. Leeds, who had rested players for league games in a vain attempt to create an unassailable lead last night, might have been further in arrears if Celtic had succeeded in getting all the breaks that were due them. Bewildered Leeds fans behind me exclaimed, 'They are teaching us the game.'" Jimmy Johnston had one of his greatest games against England fullback Terry Cooper and put in a dazzling exhibition. Phil Brown wrote in the Yorkshire Evening Post of the 2nd of April, "To rub salt in the wound, so to speak, Celtic then gave little right winger Johnston lashings of the ball for 20 minutes, and he was just untackleable then and after. I doubt if Elland Road has ever seen such feinting, swerving and sidestepping inside a square yard. It must have been horrible to see such an individual genius on such form, in control and so fleet into the open spaces." Geoffrey Green in the Times was even more effusive in his praise of Jinky. "With McNeil, an immovable lighthouse at the heart of defence, and Hay outdoing even Leeds in the matter of overlapping from fullback, it was Celtic who held all the cards up to half-time. They held them in attack through the superb dribbling of little Johnston, who, like a wasp, buzzed here and there with close footwork and acceleration round and often through an alarmed Leeds defence. Johnston, with his low centre of gravity, was as elusive as a wet piece of soap in a shower bath." After coming close through Johnston, who brought out a brilliant save from Gary Sprake after a mazy running shot, a Bobby Murdoch drive that grazed the crossbar, and a close-in header from Willie Wallace that brought out another great save from the keeper, Celtic thought they had gone two in front a minute into the second half. Jim Parkinson wrote, "Connolly, who seesawed between defence and attack in perfect unison with Billy McNeil, might have carved a greater reputation for himself had the referee allowed a second goal to stand in the opening minute of the second half. It looked every inch a goal as Johnston dispossessed Cooper and cut the ball back from the byline to Connolly. The Celtic players were celebrating Connolly's devastating shot when the referee hesitatingly gave an infringement from 18 yards away. The official said later that Johnston had been offside. Leeds were too good a side to be under the cosh for the entire 90 minutes, and they had their best spell after Connolly's disallowed goal. Barry Foster wrote in the Yorkshire Post on the 2nd of April, "Leeds tried to fight their way back into the game, and Clark was unlucky to see a close-range shot hit the goalkeeper's knees and go for Leeds' first corner. Leeds should have scored at least once in a 3-minute spell of aggression soon afterwards. First, Lorimer passed when a shot might have brought him a goal. Next, Gemmell cleared the ball from Jones as it sped across the face of the goal and out of the goalkeeper's reach. And finally, when Jones won a high ball and headed it into the path of Clark, he was foiled by a gallant save at his feet by Williams." Leeds suffered another blow on 67 minutes when Billy Bremner suffered a head knock in a challenge with Billy McNeil and had to leave the field with concussion to be replaced by Mick Bates. 5 minutes later, Bremner's fellow Celtic fan Eddie Gray crashed a shot against the crossbar, and that was as close as Leeds came to equalising. Celtic finished strongly, Barry Foster writing, "Celtic were always likely to hit back, and Johnston gave the Leeds defence a timely reminder of their power 6 minutes later when he waltzed around 3 defenders to set up a shooting chance for Wallace. And what a shot it was, Sprake bringing off a fine save on his knees." Goalscorer Connolly was replaced by John Hughes with 10 minutes remaining, and Celtic saw the game out comfortably. The win at Elland Road on the 1st of April 1970 rivals any in Celtic's history before or since. Malcolm Munro wrote in the Evening Times of the 2nd of April, "It was vintage football. The English writer on my left brushed away a tear and almost sobbed, 'They are better than they were in '67. The one on my right was speechless."